Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, as you can see, we are replacing the stove in this unit right here. But before we change the stove, we want to talk about the gas line. If you're replacing a stove, chances are it's got to be at least 10 or 15 years old, if not older. So you want to change your gas line at the same time when you replace your stove. And the way to do that is very simple. Just you can go to a big box store or wherever you buy your appliance and just buy a new kit. They come in all different lengths. This one was for a stove that was in here, and we are going to replace it. All right, now the first thing you want to know, when you put this back together, there's different kind of sealants that you use on the threads, and you have to use it in a specific location. You can't put anything on the tapered part of it, and I'll explain to you where that is in just a minute. All right, so the way we're going to take it off is we're going to take 2 pairs of adjustable pliers like this. Now obviously I did break this one loose already, so yours is going to be probably quite a bit tighter. But as you can see down here, you have your black pipe that comes up through the floor, or maybe yours may come through the wall. It has a adapter right on here, and it has on here where the gas line connects onto. So what we want to do is we want to remove this without removing this. So we're going to hold that stationary, and we're going to twist this one to take it out. So we're going to take our adjustable wrench, we're going to set it up so that it holds this fairly tight. Remember, you're taking it off counterclockwise. All right, so we're going to hold this one, and we're going to keep slight pressure on it this direction so it doesn't loosen up. We are going to take our next adjustable wrench. We're going to put it on top just like this. Now the easiest way to break something loose is not holding it like this and pushing on it like that. The best thing to do is to put it on here like this, so you can grab both of them with 2 hands, and you can squeeze it and turn it and get it to rotate off. All right, so as I said, this one I already broke loose from the stove on top, and now this one we're just going to remove it just like this. And we'll take it off, and we'll set this to the side right now. Now where you want to put sealant is you never want to put sealant up on the top right here. This is a tapered fit that needs to fit snug on top there, and as you tighten down the top nut, it'll seal it up against here and keep it from leaking. Where you need to have the sealant is where the black pipe meets the adapter up underneath here. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need a couple of different things. You'll need some some tape like this. This tape is actually made specifically for gas. You can see the color of it. This one is actually yellow or orange, so you can see this one is made just for gas, and it's natural gas, I might add. This is another alternative you have. This one here is made specifically for gas. If you turn it around to the back and you read through it, you want to make sure it always tells you on the back what it's good for. Not for use for LP gas. This is not LP. LP is actually from like bottled gas that you would have outside your house. It says for use on water, steam, air, natural gas, and that's what this is, natural gas. All right, so what we do is, if you're replacing this here, you put a bead of this sealer on here or the tape on here like this, and you tighten this down until it's as tight as it possibly can get, and it doesn't go any tighter. All right, then the next thing you would do is this, as I said, is a tapered fit, and you can see how this is tapered right here. See how it looks like it's an angle right here? This angle will line up with that angle, so when you tighten this all the way down, it's going to be nice and tight on here. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to install this on here, and then we'll install it onto the back of the stove itself. Okay, so after your adapter is on, you would take your gas line like this, you would hold it up on here, and you would screw it on by hand. You never want to tighten it down with the wrench until you're absolutely sure that it's not cross-threaded. So turn it down as far as you possibly can, like this. And then once you have it as tight as you possibly can, you take your other wrench like this, put it on the top here, and you turn it until it gets snug. And then once it's snug, then we'll stop and we'll hold the base adapter so it doesn't rotate on the black pipe itself. Okay? We take this, put it on here like that, hold pressure against it this direction because you don't want it to move, and then we'll tighten this up all the way. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Now the next thing you would do is obviously you would connect this onto your stove or your cooktop, depending on what you have inside your house. And then once you connect it up, then you're pretty much ready to test it and make sure that you have no leaks. And the way you would test it is you would have this connected up to your oven or your stove top, whatever. And then you would come in here with a soapy water solution, and you would put the soapy water solution around everything here, from the joint here, here, and here. You put the soap on there. If you see bubbles on the soap, then you know that there's a leak in the gas line, and you'll need to either tighten this up tighter, or you may need to remove this and put an additional sealer on the threads down here if it's leaking. But that's it. That's all there is to it. So the only recommendation I would make to you is if you're changing your stove or your oven or your cooktop, make sure you replace your gas line, because the line itself, who knows how old it can be. All right, it's cheap insurance to make sure you don't have a gas leak. All right, so now we have our gas line installed. I want to point this out to you. The reason you always want to change your gas line from an older stove when you're putting a newer unit in is they have newer technology nowadays. They have this valve that's actually connected up to the stove itself, and this valve connects in right down on the bottom, right over here. And the reason that valve is there is if you had a failure in the stove and it was leaking gas or whatever, if the supply was coming through here too quickly, that valve would shut off and thereby turn off the stove so that you wouldn't have an explosion in your home. So the safety valve is something that's really very important. All right, so we put the safety valve in, and the way you put it in, you can see this yellow Teflon tape on here. I hope you can see that. You see the yellow tape on there? Yellow Teflon tape is meant for gas, for household gas. If you use the white tape is not meant for gas, and you're going to have a leak. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but it will happen. So make sure you use the correct tape when you put this in. Now the yellow tape only goes on the threaded area that connects into the back of the stove itself. Once you install this up here, this part of the new hose does not get any Teflon, does not get any Pro Dope or anything like that on there. It goes on strictly metal to metal with no sealant in between. Then we tighten this up as tight as we possibly can by hand. Then we got on there with the 2 wrenches. We held this one with a wrench, and we tightened this one up until it's real tight. Next, we connected up our other side over here, where it's on our main supply line. Right over here, we tightened that up right there, nice and tight. We then went down to the supply line where the shutoff valve is, turned the shutoff valve on, and then we put a soapy water solution on here and on the other side where that safety valve is to make sure we had no leaks whatsoever. If there was any leaks in this here or in the other part over there, it would be just bubbles coming up, just like if you were to blow bubbles in soapy water. That's what it would look like. And if that's the case, you have any kind of leaks on either one of these sides here, you go back, shut your supply line off on your main valve, and then you would tighten these up tighter and then turn it on and just redo the test with the soapy water to make sure that everything is okay. But that's it. This is done. We're going to put the stove back in, level it up, and then we'll be all set. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.